You spent money on it. You watched the videos. You read the lists. You have the water purification tablets, the emergency blanket, the 3-day food supply, the hand crank radio, the first aid kit, and the iodine tablets. You have done everything the internet told you to do. You are prepared. You are going to die prepared. The emergency kit, as it exists in popular survival culture, is a monument to the wrong problem. Every item in it was selected by people optimizing for the wrong threat model. Floods, earthquakes, power outages. Scenarios where the danger is environmental and the solution is resource management. A nuclear event is not those things. A nuclear event is a physics problem. And the kit you packed does not contain physics. It contains comfort items dressed up as survival tools, and the false confidence they generate is measurably more dangerous than having no kit at all. Let us go through what you actually packed and what it will and will not do. The water purification tablets, useful for biological contamination, utterly useless for radiological contamination. If your water source is downstream of a nuclear detonation, the radioactive isotopes dissolved in it, primarily cesium-137 and iodine-131, in the immediate aftermath, are not removed by iodine-based purification tablets. They are not filtered by a standard portable water filter. The only reliable method for removing radioactive contamination from water is distillation, which your kit almost certainly does not contain the equipment to perform. The tablet in your hand gives you the sensation of having addressed the water problem. You have not addressed the water problem. You have addressed a completely different problem that does not exist in this scenario. Here is what you are actually missing. Here is the one category that separates the people who run a correct survival algorithm from the people who die holding a fully stocked emergency kit. Dosimetry, radiation measurement. A personal dosimeter, or a Geiger counter. Without it, you are navigating the most dangerous radiological environment a civilian will ever encounter with zero data. You cannot see radiation. You cannot smell it. You cannot feel it until the damage is already done. Every decision you make, when to shelter, when to move, which direction to travel, whether the water is safe, whether the air is safe, whether you can help someone else, every single one of those decisions requires a number. Not a feeling, not an instinct, a number on a display, and your kit does not have one. The 15-minute algorithm is the first operating principle of nuclear survival, and it requires data to execute correctly. In the first 15 minutes after detonation, fallout begins descending in the immediate area. The correct response, sheltering in the most substantial structure available in the most interior room immediately, is not instinctive. It requires you to suppress every flight response your nervous system generates and substitute a calculated decision. That calculation is only possible if you have some baseline understanding of what the radiation environment around you actually is. Without a dosimeter, you are guessing. You are making life or death decisions based on how things look and how you feel. How things look and how you feel are not calibrated instruments. they will kill you. If you are still watching, subscribe. It means your threat model is being updated in real time, which is the only kind of preparation that actually functions. The emergency blanket, the Mylar sheet folded into a 2-inch square. It retains body heat, which is useful for hypothermia scenarios, which are relevant in roughly 0% of the specific first response window of a nuclear event. What it does not do, what no reflective layer does, is provide any meaningful shielding against gamma radiation, which travels through most materials as though they are not there. Lead shielding of significant thickness stops gamma radiation. Your Mylar blanket does not. The people who wrap themselves in emergency blankets after a nuclear event and feel protected are not protected. They are warm and unprotected, which is marginally more comfortable, but physically identical in terms of radiation exposure. Now, let us discuss carbon monoxide, because it is in your kit too, in a form you did not recognize. Your kit contains candles, emergency candles, probably, because every survival list includes them for light during power outages. In a sealed shelter, and you will seal your shelter because the guidance says to prevent outside air infiltration. Those candles are a carbon monoxide source. So is the small camping stove, if you packed one. So is any combustion-based heat source. Carbon monoxide is colorless, odorless, and binds to hemoglobin with 250 times the affinity of oxygen. Your kit does not contain a carbon monoxide detector. Your kit does not contain a battery-operated CO alarm. It contains the sources of the gas and none of the instrumentation to detect it. You have packed a gas chamber and called it a survival kit. The rule of sevens is the only piece of physics that works in your favor, and your kit gives you no way to use it. Radiation intensity from fallout drops by a factor of 10 for every 7-fold increase in time elapsed since detonation. At 7 hours, 1/10 of the initial intensity. At 49 hours, 1/100th. At 343 hours, 1,000th. This decay curve is reliable, predictable, and the foundation of every rational exit strategy from a nuclear fallout scenario. But the rule of sevens tells you when conditions have improved sufficiently to move only if you have a baseline measurement and ongoing measurements to compare against. Without a Geiger counter, you have a theoretical schedule and no data to map onto it. You know that conditions should be better at 49 hours. You do not know what better means in your specific location, with your specific fallout density, with your specific shelter quality. You are following a map with no terrain markings. Your first aid kit, bandages, antiseptic, aspirin, maybe a tourniquet if you watch the right videos. Useful for blast injuries, lacerations, burns. Radiation sickness, acute radiation syndrome, is not addressed by any of these items. ARS presents in stages, an initial prodromal phase of nausea, vomiting, and fatigue within hours of exposure, followed by a latent phase where symptoms appear to improve, followed by a manifest illness phase where the immune system begins catastrophic failure. The items in your first aid kit address none of these stages. There is no over-the-counter intervention for bone marrow suppression. There is no field treatment for radiation-induced immunodeficiency. The first aid kit gives you the sensation of medical preparedness in a scenario where the medical problem is operating at a cellular and molecular level that ibuprofen cannot reach. Your kit's first aid section is, in the context of a nuclear event, a comfort object. The iodine tablets, if you pack them, and you probably did because every list tells you to, protect exactly one organ against exactly one radioisotope. The thyroid gland against iodine 131. Cesium-137 deposits in muscle tissue and has a 30-year half-life. Strontium-90 substitutes for calcium in bone and has a 29-year half-life. Neither is addressed by your tablets. External gamma exposure from fallout is not addressed by your tablets. The tablet is a single-function tool being marketed as a comprehensive radiation response, and the confidence it generates in the person who takes it is precisely what makes it dangerous. You took the tablet. You feel like you did something. You did something for your thyroid. Your thyroid is now the best protected organ in a body that is otherwise entirely unshielded. Here is what a survival kit for a nuclear event actually requires at its core: a calibrated personal dosimeter, or Geiger counter. Without this, every other item is decoration. A battery-operated carbon monoxide detector. Without this, your sealed shelter is an unmonitored gas chamber. A written copy of the rule of sevens with space to log readings against the time curve. Without this, your exit strategy is a feeling, not a calculation. Clean water obtained from sealed containers before the event, not filtered from potentially contaminated sources during. Without this, your purification tablets are solving the wrong problem. And the knowledge, not a pamphlet, the actual internalized operating procedure of exactly what to do in the first 15 minutes. Because by the time you are reading the pamphlet, the 15 minutes are gone. The kit you packed is the kit for the disaster the internet was afraid to name specifically. This channel names it specifically.